The way I'm doing this is with Google Hangouts. And I started these Hangouts before time. You can see this one is session 1, but I have sessions 2, 3, and 4 in here today. I do have on my website and my blog step-by-step directions of how to do a Google Hangout. I love doing Google Hangouts anytime I present for a school or for anybody because it makes learning rewindable. So if you're into flipped classroom, I don't really like to use the word flipped classroom. I like to use the word rewindable learning. Because if you're like me, sometimes when you attend a conference, you really like what it is that you learned, and you go back home, and then you try to use what you learned, and you get to like step 3, and you go, oh man, I can't remember what the presenter said, right? But if you can rewind that teacher and go back and watch it again and go step by step through with them what to do, it makes learning so much easier. And if you need that, don't your kids need that as well? So I know teachers who also will record their lessons and do those trip-up lessons and record and make learning rewindable. So I love that point. So we're going to go right on through this. And so this is recording, and it will be there for you to go back to anytime you need to if you have questions. So we are going to talk about social media, and I'll go back to the very front title, Building a School Brand with Social Media. And let's see if I remember to stick this in my purse. So how many of you in your schools have a Twitter account for your school right now? You have a Twitter account for your school? All right, I think it's really important for you to have that. And we're going to talk about some of those reasons and also why not only as a school you should have a Twitter account and a hashtag for your school, but why you should get your teachers and why you should connect with other educators online using Twitter. So what we're going to do first is watch a little video here about what a lot of people think Twitter is, because a lot of people have misconceptions about what Twitter is. They think it's just for celebrities or other things like that. So we're going to watch this video real quick about Twitter.
I want to tweet it all. I tweet on my body. I tweet in the snow. I want you to read me. When I know I was wrong.
I need to create a way to blog that's random and incoherent as writing on a vacuum wall. Why? Because normal blogging is tedious and dumb. It's totally for ideas. People want to have narcissistic conversations with total strangers about the everyday minutia of their lives. Why not build them a service that does that?
Twitter restricts you to only 140 words most characters.
140 characters.
They're saying that Twitter is nothing but a bunch of idiots and celebrities talking about what they had for breakfast. You know what it says? Is it true?
They don't know.
What is it? No, why is the bandwidth? Why are you always feeling like we have to fight?
If you put TW in front of any word and make it ink, check this out. Hey, get it twisty. I didn't ask for Twitter.
If Twitter was as useless and as boring as they say, then somebody would have tweeted.
Your retweets could seriously confuse all of my followers.
Our followers.
You're being accused of intentionally dumbing down the internet
Hashtags.
and enabling individuals to annoy their friends without any consequences.
Do they have a Twitter?
As for the charges, I would like to respond in the next public tweet. The baby just pooped. Hashtag turtle.
I'm sorry?
Yes,
I don't understand. What you just said is completely idiotic.
exactly. That's the point.
Because it can only be 140 characters, I had to shorten it.
Awesome.
So that's the way a lot of people view Twitter. But I'm going to tell you, it's just so much more than that. And so I'm going to tell you about my personal journey with Twitter and why I think it's so important for you to go ahead and connect your staff with and for you to become connected with as well. So for me, it all started with a QR code. Back in 2009, 2010, which wasn't that very long ago, I was pretty much just collecting a paycheck. I was one of those teachers. I had 8 years till I could retire, and I was just doing the bare minimum to get by. And I'm not proud of that. I was sitting in the library and started noticing QR codes coming in on the periodicals we were getting. And I started thinking, well, what in the world are these things? I don't know what they are. Well, librarians, we research stuff, right? So I started to research it, and then I got really angry. Because when I started researching QR codes, I realized that there were educators out there who had been using QR codes for at least 2 years, if not more, in the classroom, in their libraries to teach with. But my district had never offered me a PD on QR codes. I didn't know anything about QR codes, and I was mad. I wanted to know why my school district hadn't taught me about this. Because from 92 until 2009, I had been passively sitting by waiting for my school district to bring learning to me. Do you have any teachers like that? Okay. So then I said, well, if my district isn't going to bring it to me, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to find a PD so that I can learn some of this stuff. And as I was going out searching, I came across this amazing woman named Shel Terrell. And I came across her 30 Goals Reboot Camp Challenge for Teachers. Shel changed my life. And this reboot camp changed my life. Every year she has 30 more goals. And it gives your teachers and you a place to start. Because I think that's what's wrong with most of your teachers. They love their kids. They want to be the best teacher they can. They just don't know where to start. You don't have to start with goal 1 and work your way through goal 30. You don't have to do all 30 goals. You pick one. And I did. One of the goals was to get connected on Twitter. And Twitter changed my life. Not like, boy, that Snickers bar changed my life. Twitter changed my life. It connected me with an amazing group of educators who are passionate about learning, passionate about being innovative, and passionate about doing what's best for kids. The thing that they don't tell you when you start to connect with other amazing educators is how overwhelmed you'll feel, how inadequate you will feel. And I knew I had not been doing the best I could do for kids. And when I started connecting with these educators, I got really excited, but I also felt overwhelmed and completely inadequate. To the point that one night, around about 10 o'clock at night, I connected with several really awesome people like Doug Johnson and Shel Terrell and some others. But I was so overwhelmed and I felt so inadequate as a person that, and as an educator, that I sat down and I wrote emails to several people. And I just said, you know, guys, this is great. I'm glad you're doing this, but I'm not a superstar like the people I'm meeting. I'm not a Gwyneth Jones or a Shannon Miller or an Eric Scheringer or any number of other people that I connected with. And I said, you know, I can't do this. I think I'll just slide through these last 8 years and get on out. Well, and I was crying really hard because that's not really what I wanted to do, but I didn't feel I was capable of anything else. I didn't expect anyone to answer me back because they're superstars that I wrote to, and who was I? Nobody. I was nobody. Not anyone important. Why would anyone respond to me? But when I woke up the next morning around 5, I just looked at my email just to see. And every single one of these people that I wrote to, that I only knew through Twitter, through 140 characters at a time, had written me back and said, we've got your back. You can do this. You don't have to be this person or this person. You just have to be the best person you can be every day. And they have had my back ever since then. They gave me the motivation to keep moving forward and to be a better person. And because of that, I've had the opportunity to do some amazing things that I never thought I was capable of. I actually got to meet Shel Terrell in person, which I busted out crying when I saw her, and you saved my life. I've met amazing people like Erin Klein, who writes Kleinspiration. If your elementary school teachers don't know her, they should know her. She writes an amazing blog. Eric Scheringer is an amazing principal and now works for Scholastic. Cybrary Man, who we'll be talking about, and Tom Whitby and Alyssa. There's so many people that I've been able to meet and do things with and collaborate with on a global basis. Things that I've been able to do that I didn't think I'd be able to do before. And you can do this too. Building a PLN is critical and is key to being successful and bringing the best to your kids in your school. Because y'all, you've heard the saying, 2 brains are better than 1. What about 100 brains, 1,000 brains of educators all over the world who are wanting to do the same thing that you do and bring the best to their kids? I don't have to come up with the great ideas. My PLN is sharing their great ideas every day, and then I bring those back and custom tailor them to fit my school and my kids. So getting connected is what you need to do. So what I did is I sent out a Flipgrid, and this is where you can record for up to 90 seconds, anything you want. And so I presented the question out to my PLN. Please share why leveraging the power of social media is important to you as an educator. And I'm just going to share 2 of these with you. Dr. Neil Gupta and Eric Scheringer, I'm going to share those 2, but you have links on these in your Moodle to the other educators around the world who have shared why they feel social media is important. I'm sharing these 2 men here with you because they are both administrators. They have both been principals or are at the district level or have been superintendents of schools.
Hi, my name is Neil Gupta. I'm a district administrator for a school district in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. Leveraging the power of social media has been a game changer for educational leaders. Social media has transformed my leadership ability to think outside the box by interacting with other leaders. They're doing things that I didn't even know that existed. In this age of constant change at the state and federal levels, it's difficult to stay updated to gather best practices. Instead of waiting for the yearly meeting to happen, I'm able to connect with ed leaders from across the United States to share ideas and uplift one another. I'm a huge fan of Twitter and ed chats to sharpen my sword and to get inspired. I've also recently connected on Voxer, where I speak with other leaders from across the state of Ohio and across the United States. I even participated in a book study this year. It's amazing to think of the possibilities extend beyond the older methods of communication to now use social media to learn, to get inspired, and really to ultimately help our students grow.
Love that share. And then Eric Scheringer.
Social media is so important to me as an educator because it really is 24/7 constant flow of information. I can learn anywhere from anyone at any point in time. It's just being able to follow your specific personalized interests, your passions. And, I look at this, the formation of your own personal learning network through social media. You can get access to resources, ideas, strategies, track conferences, get feedback, and get support from a global network of educators. I see social media as a human-generated search engine, that it's always there for you whenever you need it. You could use it as little or as much as you want. And best of all, it is completely free. If you want to be empowered and take ownership over your learning and really push yourself outside your comfort zone, social media is probably the most liberating space for you.
And Eric Scheringer, I don't know if you know his story. He used to hate technology. He is known for completely hating technology, banning all technology in his school, not letting any technology in, and now he's like the technology guru among administrators, and he has completely embraced it, and it's an amazing thing. So we're going to go over a few Twitter basics here. Twitter, as Eric said, is a 24/7 professional development conference. And so I want you to think of Twitter as that. It is a professional development conference, whether it's here or if you went to the Alabama Ed Tech conference down in Birmingham or another large conference. It is a conference, and you need to think of it that way. You're a professional educator attending a conference when you're on Twitter. So first off, let's think about our profile picture that's on Twitter. It's important. So think about when you're at a conference. If you don't have a profile picture and you are still an egg, that means that you have shown up to the conference with a mask on your face, right? Well, we're educators. We're used to weird, right? We deal with weird, so we might be, okay, well, he or she's wearing a mask on their face. All right, maybe. Then think about your username. When you come into a conference, and if they don't have a name badge already made for you, you know where you write on the name badge? Would you write Hot Mama on that or something else? Or Go Bama? Would you write that? No, because that's not your name. You're at a professional conference with other educators. I actually know an educator whose Twitter name is Spelling Whisperer. Now, she does work in an alternative school, but how does that reflect on her school? Not very well. Now, so not only have you walked into the professional development conference with a mask on, and on your name tag it now says Spelling Whisperer. Well, we're used to weird, but we might not want you to sit next to us, right? And we might not really want to hear what you have to say.
Ron's at yours.
Spelling Whisperer.
Spelling Whisperer too.
And then the other thing is your profile description. It is essential that you have a profile description, and a good profile description if you're going to start connecting with other educators online. Because if you have nothing, nobody knows what your specialty is or why they would want to connect with you. So now not only are you wearing a mask, you're the Spelling Whisperer, but you won't tell anybody where you work, what grade you teach, what subject you teach, or anything about you and why they should connect with you as an educator. So if you don't have this information here, nobody knows, oh, this person's a principal. I'm a principal too. This might be a good person to connect with. I was lucky enough to work with these two ladies here, and they are the founders and moderators at the Alabama Ed Chat. You guys as administrators, you need to be on Alabama Ed Chat. You need to be participating in this chat. It's every Monday night at 9 o'clock Central Time. And it is mostly all administrators talking about things that administrators have issues with, and you're that brain hive. You're putting all your thinking together and coming up with solutions to problems that you have. Also, these ladies offered at our school at the time when I was at Hoover professional development credit to any teachers who participated or anybody who participated in the Ed Chats every single week. So you'd get an hour of professional development credit every single week for participating in that. And if you participated in any other Twitter chats, you got professional development credit for it. You learn so much on Twitter that to not offer professional development for participating in Twitter chats is such a huge oversight on a school district's site, because your teachers are going to come in excited about new things and wanting to apply them towards their kids, and you're going to see that learning skyrocket and the enthusiasm spread throughout your school. So it's something you want to harness for sure. My teachers, these two ladies right here, helped get their teachers who were a little nervous about Twitter. They would hold Twitter parties in the library at night. At 9 o'clock when the Twitter chat would start, they'd have food and drinks and everything, and they'd make it a casual thing, and they'd have their computer screen up on the big screen so that they could show how to do it and teach while it was happening, so it wasn't taught out of context. So that's something that you might want to do at your school. Twitter chats. That's where the real learning takes place on Twitter. You can put stuff out there on Twitter, but the chats are where I found that real learning takes place, and using the hashtag is where real learning takes place. And we're going to do a little chat ourselves in just a minute. But Twitter chats can also be a bit overwhelming if you haven't ever participated in one before, because it goes really, really fast. I like to think of it as you've never jumped rope before in your life, and then someone enters you into a double dutch contest, and then you're kind of like, oh, what did I do? Right, where am I? And I also like to think of it with this video from Lucy and the Chocolate Factory. So I want you to think of the chocolates that are coming through as tweets during a Twitter chat. Am I the only one old enough to know who Lucy is?
There's lots of chocolate. Oh, they kicked me out of their class.
Yeah.
See what
Fast forward it just a bit.
The one apartment I've been in. I didn't do so well either. All right, girls. Now this is your last chance. If one piece of candy gets past you and into the packing room unwrapped, you're fired. Just saying. Let her roll.
All right. So the Twitter chat is starting. The moderators introduce themselves, and the tweets are now starting to come in. And the chocolates are the tweets.
Well, this is easy. Yeah, we can handle it, okay?
Didn't you think that at first?
Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed up!
Oh, goodness. So the important thing about this is when you're in a Twitter chat, don't try to read every single tweet. You're not going to be able to do that. The important thing is to let your voice be heard, to comment if you have something to comment on. If you see something that somebody else has said that makes you think something, respond back to them. It's about a conversation. It's about relationship building, not about reading every single tweet or clicking on every single link. And I never click on a link during a Twitter chat. I'll go back later. A good moderator of a Twitter chat is going to, a good moderator will archive the chat for you so that you can go back later and click on links and see if there's things in there. But a lot of people, if they have more to say than 140 characters, might share a website with you, or might share a blog post with you, or something that goes into more depth on the subject that you're talking about. So what we're going to do, go ahead and pull up Twitter if you have Twitter. And we're going to just do very briefly what a Twitter chat looks like, so you're a little bit used to it. Most good Twitter chats are going to use the question one, answer one format. And what that means is when the moderator of the chat comes in, he or she is going to say something like, welcome, and probably spells it right. Welcome to hashtag Limestone LA. And most of the times they'll start out with, please introduce yourself and introduce yourself, tell us where you are from and what you teach. So the key here is that everybody in the chat is following the same hashtag. Hashtags, for those of you that term's brand new, is where you get to follow a stream of thought. So I use TweetDeck when I do this, and this is more advanced Twitter. But if I only want to see what teacher librarians are talking about, I can look right here at this stream. So I follow about 3,000 people. Well, if I were to try to see what 3,000 people were saying all at one time, they're going to be talking about 3,000 different things. So if I'm wanting to follow one stream of thought, I follow a hashtag. So if I only want to see what people today are saying in hashtag Limestone LA, then I can come in here and I can add a column to this. And that way, right here, I'm only seeing what people at this conference are talking about. And so it helps me to narrow down that focus of who it is I'm listening to and what the conversation is about. So even though I'm not in this class right here, where they're doing brain breaks, I can still learn about it by following this stream from that conference. So even if there's a conference, say out in California, like the Q conference that I would like to attend, but I don't have money to fly out to California and put myself up in a hotel, I can still follow their hashtag and learn from that conference as well from the people who are in attendance. So it's not only important for you to tweet personally, but then tweet when you're at a conference to share with others that can't attend that conference as well. And matter of fact, because we've been tweeting yesterday, and I tweet that out with my I think I have over 6,000 followers right now, I've had people in other states contacting me last night saying, how can I do a leadership conference in my school district? So we're setting a trend now right here in Limestone County for other people to follow because they're so impressed with what we've been doing yesterday and are doing again today. So that's the power of Twitter. So now I see Matt Scott has answered what he's doing and tweeted out a picture. And so that's how it starts. So then the next thing that you would do, and I'll go ahead and tweet that out. We won't have time to answer it. The next thing a good moderator would do is to notify you that question 1 is coming up soon. So they'll say something like question 1 coming soon. And you have to make sure that you always put in the hashtag. I had one principal who just couldn't get it that you had to put in a hashtag or anything. The thing is, if you don't put in a hashtag, nobody's going to be able to see what you said unless they happen to be looking at Twitter at the exact time that you send out your tweet. Or if you tweet to a person, okay, with the @ symbol. But if you just tweet, nobody's going to see it really unless they just happen to be staring at Twitter right at that same time that you click that button to send out your tweet. So the hashtags are essential. The next thing a moderator would do after they say that question 1 coming up soon is they're just going to say Q1 because they're trying to save space, and then they'd send out that question. But if you're wanting it to show up so that other people in the conversation can see it, you have to use the hashtag that's being used for that conversation. So right now, we're using Limestone LA. If you were in something like US Ed Chat, which is brings together all the state chats from around the United States once a quarter, then you would use the US Ed Chat. I'm going to show you some of those chats for you to get connected with your teachers. So once the moderator sends out like question 1, how would you answer that back? You'd start out, if they start out with Q1, you'd answer it back with what? A1. And that way it makes the conversation easier to follow. So if you see somebody with A2, you know they're answering question 2. And so it makes the conversation easier to follow. All right, so that's kind of how a Twitter chat works. So I want to show you a couple of things that I'd like for you to be able to share with your teachers because I think they're really important. The first one is the official Twitter chat list. And you do have all of these links in Moodle to be able to look at. So if you're saying, okay, well, what Twitter chat do we have assistant principals in here? I know Mr. Jordan. Who else are our assistant principals? All right, so right here for assistant principals, every Sunday, right here, every Sunday, every week, hashtag AP chat, assistant principals chat, and it is at 7 p.m. Central Time every single Sunday. It's where assistant principals get together and discuss a certain topic that has been set ahead of time. I know with the TL chat, we put out a vote a week before the chat, and we let our participants vote on what the topic will be each week. And so some chats do that as well. There are chats for absolutely everything in education under here. There's Flip Class, so if you're interested in that. The principals chat is hashtag CP chat. That's Connected Principals Chat. And I know it's in there. I just looked it up wrong. Connected Principals Chat. And so you can come over under here and look at the official chat list, or you can look at the chat calendar, click on Central Time, and see what chats are coming up today. There's an art chat, there's one for coaches, but the one I'd encourage you to start with is the AL Ed Chat. The Alabama Ed Chat is a really good one to get involved with. There's first chats, second chats, third chats, fourth chats, fifth chats. Oh, SS Chat, the social studies chat. These people are amazing. Let me tell you, what these people can do in a chat is amazing. Some chats are better than others. AL Chat is really amazing. But the social studies chat people, remember when Osama bin Laden was killed? It was a Friday afternoon, school was just out, and we found out. So we didn't have time to really address it with our students. So over that weekend, using the hashtag SSChat, social studies teachers from all over the world got together on Twitter, 140 characters at a time, developed complete lesson plans from introducing who Osama bin Laden was to what happened with assessments and activities, videos, website links, everything you'd need from beginning to end for social studies teachers to walk into the classroom that Monday morning and start teaching. That's the power of connecting with an amazing group of educators like this out on Twitter. So make sure you go through and find those chats for your teachers and get them connected any way you can. Doing that Twitter party is amazing. It's fun. It helps them to learn and feel like they're in a safe environment learning. Offering professional development credit for participating in those chats is awesome too, and it can get them on there. What we have to get over is being afraid to have our voice heard, because we've got amazing educators in every single one of our schools that need to start sharing the great things that they're doing, because they're awesome. We're awesome. All of you here are great. I love being with this school district. It's been the best experience of my life. Now, who to follow? That's another question I'm asked all the time. Who should I follow? You know, it's not so much about the follow, but what I do is I pick up new friends all the time on Twitter while I'm in a Twitter chat. If I come across somebody who's sharing some really great, cool stuff, I'm like, oh, wow, this person's really cool. They're sharing great information, and I'll click on their profile, see who they are, what they teach, where they're from, and what else have they tweeted about. And then I decide if I'm going to follow them or not. But Cybrary Man, who's Jerry Blumengarten, and I've also included this link on your Moodle page, has come up with some PLN superstars. These are the people he highly recommends you should follow. So the Ed Chat superstars, these are, it doesn't matter who you are What You Teach. These are people you should follow, like Shel Terrell for sure. And getting your teachers connected with her 30 Goals Boot Camp is one of the things I would recommend. Oops, there's an English chat. That's a lot of fun. Math chat. I found myself stuck in a math chat one time. I couldn't believe I had gotten in there because math is my worst subject. I was like, how am I in this math chat all of a sudden? There's things even for school psychologists, social studies, science, special education, librarians, coaches even. There's hashtags for coaches. So every single thing that you could possibly think of for a school, you've got people to connect with, even your foreign language chats, early childhood, your counselors, speech teachers. There's everything here you could think of, and also with your chat calendars as well. And again, once your teachers start getting connected with Twitter, it's going to change the whole atmosphere of your school, and they're going to be super excited about what they're learning, and they're going to start coming to you with these awesome ideas and wanting to go ahead and implement them with their kids. Now, as an aside, I do use Facebook for some things, but not for a lot. Twitter is really where it's at. I can't tell you how much I love Twitter. I love it enough. I've been in Twitter jail. You get in Twitter jail because you tweet too much at one time, and then they cut off your account for like an hour or something. But I was moderating a Twitter chat, but I was also participating in several other Twitter chats at the same time. And oh well. Pinterest is another great source for your teachers. When I told my teachers they were going to have a professional development on Pinterest, they were like, what? We love Pinterest. Are you kidding? It's a bookmarking site is really the way I like it. I like it because it's visual. Other bookmarking sites like Diigo, which I use sometimes, it's not visual. I'm a visual person, so I like to see those pictures because when I see that picture I have on Pinterest, it triggers my memory. Of course, it's great for lesson planning. If you're, like my daughter is a second grade teacher in Kansas, so she needs lessons for second grade. She just goes on Pinterest, types in second grade, and can find them. Great for student resources as well. But one thing I've loved using Pinterest for is as a digital scrapbook for your school. So anytime your school's in the news for something really awesome, pin that website. Well, what if it's something that the news media didn't write about, but it's something cool that happened, or some kids won something? That's where your teachers need to blog. You need to blog. Blog about the awesome things that are happening, and then once it's on the web, anything on the web can be pinned, right? And so you've got this entire Pinterest board that's nothing but a digital scrapbook about the awesome things that are happening at your school. And what a great little landing page for your parents and community members to come to see the cool stuff that's happening in your school and to celebrate all those awesome things that are happening. Instagram. The kids are not on Facebook. They're not even on Twitter anymore. They're on Instagram. So sending things out on Instagram, you can use hashtags on Instagram as well. My friend Andrew Maxey, who was the principal down at Rock Quarry Middle School in whatever that town is with that horrible little college down there. Do you know what I'm talking about? They like have an elephant or something. I don't know. Yeah. that little tiny college down there. He had a hashtag for his Rock Quarry Middle School, and he actually, you know, when you go to conferences, you get those little ribbons that you put on your badges. He made a ribbons for his school's hashtag and took them to ISTE last year and was giving them out. And so I call them a collector's item. I have one and I'm cherishing it. One thing Andrew Maxey and also Jennifer Hogan and Holly Sutherland, who you saw there earlier when we were talking about profiles, is they have learned how to harness the power of a hashtag for their school. When I was at Hoover, it was that year that we got snowed in at Hoover High School with 700 kids, right? But we were able, because our parents knew about our hashtag, we were able to use that hashtag to keep our parents informed of everything that was happening. Even the ninth grade teacher, even the teacher that said, if we run out of food, the ninth graders are going to be eaten first, right? But we were able to show parents pictures of their kids, what they were doing, where they were going to be sleeping, when dinner was served, when breakfast was served, and we were able to keep in touch with them. Another thing using Twitter and the hashtags is we were able to keep track of what our kids were doing, and if a kid was doing something inappropriate, Holly and Jennifer knew how to find that out on Twitter. We had kids who would tell us stuff if they saw stuff because they knew we wouldn't ban things or take things away from them because somebody was using it inappropriately. And they were able to call that student in and talk to them and get real with them and say, okay, I want you to look at this and think about it from this point of view. Instead of admonishing them and punishing them, they made it into a learning experience because it's better for them to make a mistake in the safety of our school than to get out and make a mistake that might haunt them for the rest of their lives. We can't ban things. We have to use their mistakes as learning opportunities because otherwise we're putting kids out there without any net, without any learning. We've got to teach them. How many teachers have gotten in trouble on social media and gotten fired because nobody ever taught them how to use social media properly? The yik yak that Dr. Sisk was talking about yesterday. We defeated that problem over at Hoover. Got on that yik yak. We had our tech team. We had our students we knew we could trust. We had all our teachers. We had our administrators. We all jumped on yik yak on our phones, and we sent out nothing but positive messages day after day after day after day, all day long. We sent out positive messages until those little ugly people that wanted to put nasty things on there got so sick and tired of all the positive stuff coming out, they decided not to use yik yak anymore. We didn't ban it. We didn't block it. We used it to our advantage. That's what you need to do with social media. Use it as a learning tool. Use it to your advantage. Even Snapchat. There are people who use Snapchat. I know foreign language teachers who use Snapchat with their students. They'll send out a Snapchat. Their student has to send back a Snapchat answering it in the foreign language. There's all sorts of different ways you can use it. Even George Couros was saying, I didn't see the point of using Snapchat, but they have a new stories feature. And so this is where kids can actually use something they want to use because the kids really are even moving away from Instagram and Snapchat and things like that. And so this is a story that was made using Snapchat.
Now, as you guys know, I visit schools all across the country. And I want to give you a tour of one of the most technologically advanced, awesome schools that I've ever been to, Lowry Primary School. So when they were designing the school, what they did that was unique is they actually put the kids' input into the design. Check it out. So as soon as you
Look at this school. It's amazing.
opens up to this.
I wish they had held the camera this way. The kids helped design the school. Look at that.
Is in the library, the center of the classroom. I don't know if you can see it.
And that's a library.
Also, have a slide.
A slide in the school.
And all of the windows.
Just like the Ron Clark Academy.
Closed, depending on the weather outside, related to the temperature inside. So just randomly, the windows just open and close.
Yeah, automatic windows based on temperature. Automatic windows that open and close on their own.
Exactly how much energy the school is using.
Yeah.
When it comes up here to the second floor, it shows you how much solar power, wind energy they're generating.
They do solar power there too. Look at that slide.
How much water they'll consume. The rules the principal told me is a slide never closes. And also,
Isn't that awesome?
Where the students, as they set the students.
But this is a,
their own education.
and I'm going to stop it a little bit early because we're almost out of time, but this is a way that you could use stories and Snapchat, something kids like. Vine is another thing. Vine and the Instagram videos. You can use those to tell stories. I had, when I was at Auburn High School, had an IB teacher in his English class who had his kids use Vine to retell different stories from Shakespeare using Vine. So you can use these things to your advantage. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. The worst thing would be banning something. I mean, if you think about it, some kids aren't using it appropriately. That's a given. But think about it in a classroom. If you have 2 or 3 kids that aren't behaving correctly, do you punish the entire class? Is that proper protocol?
Sometimes it happens.
It happens, but is that what it should be? And so if, as a school, you have a few kids who are using cell phones inappropriately, should you just ban cell phones outright? That'd be punishing the entire school rather than the ones who need it. And rather than punishing, couldn't we find another way to address that so that it becomes a learning opportunity for everyone? So if you do nothing else, get connected. And I am leaving to go to James Clemens this next year, but I believe in being a connected educator. That's how I've learned so much. That's how I've grown. And that's how I went from going to slide into my 8 years of retirement and hurt kids for another 8 years to doing something different with my life. And so I encourage you to get connected, get your teachers connected, and I hope to see you on Twitter at the next Alabama Ed Chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for giving me a few moments of your time.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you, on your website, I pulled up something really quickly, but do you have like a tweet or Twitter chat